Five, four, three, two, one, and we are recording. Hello once again, and welcome to another episode of Maestro Speaks podcast. So a lot has happened for the past weeks, and we'll be talking about some of them. International issues and some local issues also. And of course, after that, I'd be sharing about an Igorot history. A lot of us does not know or do not know that there are some involvements of Igorots during the Philippine-American War. And that's what I'll be talking about later on the podcast portion, where we will be talking about the trivias about Igorots and histories about Igorot people. Konti lang. It's very few things are being mentioned about Igorots during the Philippine-American War or the Philippine Revolutions in the pursuit of independence during the American times. And the only the only mention of an Igorot people during the American Revolution, Philippine-American War, was that of a certain Igorot named Wanario Galot, who was claimed to be a traitor who betrayed the soldiers of Gregorio del Pilar in the Turret Pass battle, the Battle of Turret Pass, wherein he was instrumental in the loss of the soldiers of General Gregorio del Pilar. In the Philippine history, General Gregorio del Pilar is the youngest general in the Philippine-American War. So, to those of you who have been following the result or the trial of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and maybe a lot of you now know that Johnny Depp won the defamation case against Amber Heard. So, what does that mean for men? Aside from the fact that the universal truth accordingly is that no one can win an argument against a woman. I should say no man can ever win an argument against a woman, and Johnny Depp came to show us the way. So what are you going to do to win an argument against a woman? Take it to court and hire a woman lawyer to fight for your case. That's it. That's how you're going to win an argument against a woman accordingly. Well, that's just a joke. It has some reality of sort. So, what are the implications of that thing happening? Well, for me, it opened the way, or it encourages other men who are experiencing abuse from the hands of their female partner, spouses, to come out, right? To be not afraid and come out and say that they are being abused. So one of the implications, if I may say so, right? So, Aside from that, uh, another implication is that we're now open to the fact. Well, this has been a fact all ever since the beginning, but we're now. I mean, people are now more accepting of the fact that not all women who says they're abused are really abused. There are some women who are so cunning that they use the fact that people or the community sees them as the weaker sex to abuse other men. They capitalize on that one to, you know, abuse and get their way. People are now, because of that case, the result of that case, people are now open to the fact that sometimes when women say something, we should not just believe it. We must at least gather the evidence, weigh it, then see both sides of the situation, and then that's the only time that we can give our verdict, right? Sa atin kasi pag na sinabi na ano ganito, and usually it's the case, mas pinaniniwalaan, even the culture of the Filipino, mas pinaniniwalaan ng babae na magsasabi na siya ay na-abuse kaysa yung lalaki. Parang hindi ka panipaniwala. It's just like in the case of bullying, na sometimes we do not believe that a little kid can bully a bigger kid. Sometimes we don't believe that, right? That is why. Okay. Those are some of the implications of the result of the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard defamation case in the United States. Well, negative implications for them is that it's like their laundry is out of the open. I think Johnny does not like people to know that he has a substance problem. That and also people, they don't like people to know that their relationship while they were together is not the fairy tale at all. Nobody likes the whole world to know those kinds of things. But then, well, yun nga. Aside from that, yung sinasabi ng isang comedian, Chris Rock said, I don't know if it's Chris Rock, but I heard a comedian said that believe all women except Amber Heard. Well, it's a joke. It's a joke, right? Before it's just like the bottom line here is that before we believe someone is that we have to weigh in, or we have to try to see both sides, or take everyone's word with a grain of salt. Tama ba yan? In every situation, not just in a situation where a woman and a man is involved, in any situation, we must take everything with a grain of salt, right? We have to do our own investigation. There's a problem with the social media right now. Kasi kung ano yung nakita natin, kung ano yung una nating narinig, sometimes that is, or 7 out of 10 times, it's generally accepted as the truth, right? Sometimes, kung ano yung nakita natin, we immediately condemn yung lumabas na negative, yung side na pinalalabas na negative, before, looking at the side of the other person. So that's what happened to Johnny Depp. Actually, I think this issue started in 2016. Started in 2016, and then he just kept quiet. And media, and yeah, all of the media outlets, social media, have been saying that he had been abusing Amber Heard, things like that. That it affected the life of Johnny Depp's daughter and son, right? And I don't know his reasons why he let this thing happen. If it's me, I'll be fighting back immediately, right? But as they say, revenge is a dish best served cold. There's one magazine in the United Kingdom who labeled him as a wife beater. Excuse me. And that is so unfair. Like, he was already guilty in the public's eye without the law weighing in with whether this allegations against him is true or not. And apparently, I followed the trials, the court proceedings, and looking at it, it would look like the woman or Amber Heard is the one who has caused the abuse in the relationship. Um, those things, you know, when you're a man, it's very difficult to prove. But the thing is, the beauty of this thing that happened is that, at least for now, men are not afraid to come out and say that they're the one being abused, things like that. And people now will be wary of believing women saying that they were abused. People now will look if a woman claiming such has an angle, things like that, and will be more into looking into the evidence of such allegations. So yeah, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp result. May God bless them both. You know, relationships like that, failed relationships like that is a lesson for you to improve yourself, so you can do better for the next relationship that you'll be having, right? And that's their life, Hollywood life, and moving closer to our home in the Philippines. So right after Marcos won the election, while people are asking who would be the people in his cabinet, the first person he appointed to be secretary in his cabinet is the Vice President Sara Duterte. And he said that he'll be appointing her as the DepEd Secretary. And of course, a lot of people reacted to this, like they were saying that does he have the he has the ability to lead the education sector of the country? Does he have the experience? What are those things that they're saying? And for me, it's a part of the education sector. I would say that this is a breath of fresh air. There, I said it. I think it's time for us. We are always saying, we're always saying to think outside the box, and this one here is an example of thinking outside the box, right? It's not because it is an education sector that Someone who came from that field or that career should be the one leading. I guess she can offer a new insight in the field of education.
This podcast is brought to you by Millennial Tech. Millennial Tech could ma-repair the printer, man-install the CCTV, repair the cellular phone, computer, and other electrical appliances. For more information, mabali na ibisita nyo da ida at Kubo Building, Proper Abatan, Bugyas, Benguet, or you can contact them through their cell phone number 0910-255-0382, or you can visit their Facebook page, Millennial Tech.
Dapat daw, ano yung sabi ng mga other critics, something like this and something like that. Those who have the experience of leading a university, things like, oh come on. Again, like what I said, it's a breath of fresh air, and I guess she can offer a new perspective on what's happening with our education right now in this country. And we hope that he can do good in the education sector. I only wish na walang masusuntok na regional director, undersecretaries. Yan. Well, for those who does not know, when Sara Duterte was the mayor, I think way back in 2000, I guess it's in 2014. Yeah, I guess that's during that time, 2012, 13, 14, during those times. When he was the mayor, she punched a sheriff because of a demolition that happened in her city, where she asked the sheriff to just stop the demolition for just don't start the demolition for an hour, and she'll be there in the area to talk to the sheriff, I guess, and to the people. Well, the sheriff did not listen to that plea. Let's just say plea, and he continued the demolition, or I mean, he pushed through with the demolition. And when the mayor came, Sara Duterte, you can see it in the video. It's he just asked the sheriff to come forward. You can see the sheriff is a little bit frightened going near Sara Duterte, and then there goes the left and right flying to space. I don't know I don't know the whole backstory of it, but when you listen to the story of people's houses being demolished, and the mayor pleading, just stand down for a while, let's talk, and then somebody just not listening to that one, and then here comes the mayor with the hand like the hand of Pacquiao. It's a little bit satisfying. So it's a little bit satisfying to hear sometimes. And that's why I said a while back that I'm hoping that she won't be punching any during his term as the deputy secretary. Being a secretary for the deputy is like a very big responsibility, right? So, and one of the reason why I guess people are saying that we cannot put him as the deputy secretary is because I think Sara Duterte is leaning towards returning back, or reinstating the ROTC is a mandatory subject for the senior high school. Way back before, it is in the first and second year of college, the ROTC. ROTC, for those who doesn't know, it is a reserved officer training corps, wherein people undergoing this class will be trained in the military subjects, military ways. They'll be training um, strictly military things, military class, right? And the reason for this one is in cases that the Philippines needs protection against threats from outside the territory, then they can just call up those officers. That's why it's a reserved officers training corps to serve the country or to protect the country. That is the main objective of ROTC. During the earlier times, this is mandatory that all people going or attending college must take this class, right? And during the implementation of this class, a lot of hazing cases have been documented, and a lot of there are some, not a lot, some people died because of hazing in the ROTC class. That's why there was a clamor back then to remove ROTC in the colleges. And after that, they made it as one of the choices. So here comes the NSTP, National Service Training Program. And in this National Service Training Program, there are it has three branches where the college students can choose to go and attend. So we have the Civic Welfare Service, that's CWTS. I cannot remember. It's been a long time. And we have the Literacy Training Service. So Literacy Training Service, and then after that we have the Military Training Service. So that is the new name for the ROTC. Back in my day, that's what I had attended in my college days. So NSTP, in the NSTP you have the Military Training Service, that's the ROTC. The Literacy Training Service, that is literacy means you will be focusing, college students will be focusing teaching children and rendering teaching services to the community. And we have Civic Welfare Training Service, wherein students will be involved in working for the community. And now they're trying to return the ROTC for the senior high school, and I think that would be a good thing. This is my opinion also, for those who are listening. This is my opinion. It's a good thing to have ROTC as a mandatory subject in the senior high school. Why? If you ask me why, because first and foremost, we need the discipline that young people can get from the military training. Nowadays, especially nowadays, we need that training. We need to instill self-discipline to our youth, and they can get that from the military training, ROTC, right? Okay. We don't know how. I cannot explain you how, because I have not experienced. I mean, I was so, I don't know, naive during the time of my college days that I have not taken ROTC during that time. But I had CAT also in high school. Then looking at those people who have undergone ROTC, they have self-discipline. They are, as compared to me, comparing myself to my friend who attended the ROTC, they have this, they know how to set a clear objective for themselves, and they can achieve it, right? So, and my friend says that I learned this during my ROTC years during our college days. Aside from that, you know, the patriotism that we can get, okay, the seed of patriotism that you can implant to the young people's mind, and then it will grow, and soon, you know, we will be more, maybe we will be more appreciative of our country, right? And we'll be doing more to serve our country. There are a lot of things that they can get from that kind of training, like what they said. I heard this from one expert. I cannot remember, but I heard this from another podcast that actually experiencing hardship can mold you to become a better person, right? Oh, di man kapkapay sin luta. Naman kapkapay kas luta, maitduan ka ay mangpamayat sin awak mo. I just heard that quote from song. This song playing right now. Anyway, so when you experience hardship, like they said, it will mold you to become a better person. And of course, military training is pure hardship, no doubt about it. And those hardship also will discipline you, will put you into a place, will mold you to be a better person. It's like that. And in the category of patriotism, we always say we are makabayan tayo, mahal namin ang Pilipinas. Now, when you attend the ROTC, that's where you put that word into action. Ba? Kung makabayan ka, kung mahal mo ang Pilipinas, then you train so that when time comes, and God forbids that time will come, but if it comes that we need to defend our country, then you are more than ready to defend the country and its people. Tama, di ba? We should not just say that matapang, makabayan tayo, mahal natin ang Pilipinas, but then when our country will call for us, then we're not willing to do our part. Diba? So, just to prepare ourselves in cases that the worst scenario will come, then I think ROTC is one of the ways that we can prepare our country. Just saying that, and again, God forbids, saying that after the World War I, a lot of experts are saying that wala nang World War II. No, there will be no more World War that will be happening. And here comes, 40 years later. Is it 40 years? I don't know. World War I happened in 1910, I guess. Yeah, more than a decade. More than it's just decades later. Here comes World War II, and they were predicting that it will never happen. And it can be compared to us right now, wherein we are saying that World War III will never happen, because if that happens, the world will be annihilated. And then we don't know, because right now Russia and Ukraine is happening. We cannot really predict the future. What we can do is prepare for the future. And as a country, ROTC is one of the ways that we can prepare ourselves. If you are saying that that's not the only way, well, take a look at South Korea. Yung mga mahal na mahal ninyong, those of you who really loves watching Korean novela, those who love those boy bands, I don't know the names, those X3X, I don't know. I don't really follow Korean boy bands. The only person I know in Korea is the Gangnam Style guy. Well, anyway, if you look at the Korean culture, the Korean way, South Koreans, all of the male after graduating high school, must go to a military service of 3 years, 2 years. I know this for a fact because I've been teaching in an English institute for like a year.
Sponsor time! So this podcast is brought to you by Dems Auto Performance. Dems Auto Performance Shop offers automotive servicing and very sila ng kahit anong klase ng sasakyan. Huwag lang eroplano. Located at Alapang, Trinidad, Benguet. Of course, they also offer off-road servicing. Sa mga naglalaro ng off-road, gusto mong pa-convert ang sasakyan sa off-road, you can visit Dems Auto Performance at Alapang, Trinidad, Benguet. Or you can also visit their Facebook page, Dems Auto Performance.
And most of my students back then were 23 years old, 22 years old, like that. After graduating college, at least in their lifetime, they must serve in the military service for 3 years. 3 years. Is it 3 years or 2 years? Now, no one is exempted. Even your money cannot save you from that service. All of you must serve in the military service, and you must start from, I guess you must start from private, and then doing the work, you can be promoted. I guess that's how it's done. I don't know how it's done, but I know for a fact that all of them are rendering service in the military. For the female, I think it's optional, but for all the men, they must attend. So if you remember Rain, he had an issue during that time because accordingly he was trying to evade the service in the military. According to my student before, when he was about to be called to go to the military service, he went to the United States. I guess that's what happened. And then saying that he has some upcoming movies that movie commitment that he cannot postpone, so he has to do those things. It's things like that. But I guess, if I'm not mistaken, he went and finished his military service. So yun, just look at that and compare to us. Look at what's happening in Korea, wherein they are actually mandating all men to serve in their military. It's in the military. It's not a training. It's actually in the military that you are going to serve. That and they're guarding the what is it? The 38 parallel line, the DMZ, the demilitarized zone. One of my students actually said that they were deployed in that area, and it's a little bit. There are things that we don't hear in the news, like sometimes they can see each other. They can see the North Korean soldiers, and they can see each other, and sometimes they shoot each other. Not actually shooting at the person, but they shoot, but not without the intention of hitting someone. It's just like that. I don't know, maybe they're bored, but that's what they're doing to each other. And what if an accident happened and they actually hit someone? They can die rendering that service. There was a ship that was bombed by the North Korean submarine last 2010, and military soldiers from South Korea died, and some of them are rendering their military service. You see, so while they're rendering their military service, they can actually die, right? And ROTC, you are just training and you're just taking it as a class. There's a very, very slim possibility that you will die. Just training. It's like you're just playing to be a soldier. In the case of South Koreans, they are actually soldiers for 3 years. In your case, if ROTC will become a mandatory subject, you will be just playing soldiers for like an hour a day, right? For 2 years of your life, or like 4 semesters. That's it. That's the only preparation that we have. And that's it's better than nothing, you know. And right now we have nothing. We have no preparation at all. So if ROTC will become a mandatory subject, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. That's my opinion on that subject. ROTC is a mandatory subject, go for it. As long as, of course, you have to put on some rules on the hazing, because that will be one of the issue. Well, again, it always goes on the discipline of a soldier, of a person. But there are some also that you cannot really take it out on them, wherein when they experience or when they taste that power, or they can experience that power that they have as an officer, then they will abuse it, you know. So it's very, very, very important that we have to safeguard also the learners or the students against those people. So that's, you know, about Sara Duterte and that mandatory subject of ROTC. You know, one of the thing also that I really would like to be changed in this educational institution that I'm a part. Well, they say that this is what I always hear: never say bad things on the place that you're working in. Well, I'm not saying bad things. I'm just saying that there can be an improvement if they can take a look back on the curriculum of K to 12. So they can revisit it and make some changes. I'm all for this. I'm all for the. I do agree. That's what I want to say. I do agree on the years that a student must must accomplish the basic education. So before we only have 10 years, right now we have 12 years. I'm all for that. But then they have to revisit those very idealistic guidelines they're implementing, and they have to look at what's happening on the field and look at those works that is really unnecessary that they're asking teachers to do. Teachers, by the word itself, they should be teaching, not doing office stuffs, right? Those are the things that needs to be changed. One of the many things that needs to be changed. A teacher should be thinking of, how am I going to help this child? How am I going to? A teacher should not be thinking of, what am I going to write in this anecdotal report that another office is asking, and then after another week, another office is asking for this report, and this. So what's happening right now is just writing reports of things of what's happening in the field. And at times you don't have enough time already to cater the needs of the learners. It's what I'm right now. That's what I'm looking at the curriculum. And that's what's happening right now. So if you're from another country and you're listening to this, can you share in the comment section of this podcast? Can you just share or message me on what's the curriculum that you're having and how is it being implemented? If you're a teacher listening, how is it being implemented, and what are the things you're doing as a teacher? And I'll be sharing you also the things that we're doing as a teacher in this country. I love teaching, maybe. And it's my job, and I have to love it, whether I don't like it or not. It's my job. But the thing is, the way I view teaching is that we are molding people. We are molding young people, young minds, to be the next generation, to bring us to a higher step in terms of progress, right? And if this is the curriculum that they'll be having, if this is the way we're going to be teaching them, then I think we are at a loss. The public school is at a loss if that's the case. You know, there are a lot of unnecessary changes that's happening that I don't know. This is where we put the adage that do not fix what is not broken, right? We have to, like I said, we have to think globally, but work locally. Maybe some of my colleagues who experienced working in the institution for a longer time can explain it better than I can. But let's see what happens when this next deputy secretary will come into office. Example of things that will show the failure of our institution, or will show the failure of us teachers, is that the hashtag Majoha, I think you can still see that in Twitter, right? Wherein our young people does not know the heroes of the Philippine history, geography questions, things like that. They cannot answer it. And it's really, looking at it, watching it, and then you'd be asking a question to yourself: what's a teacher? How can I teach students so that they won't be like that when they grow up? It's a really, really hard question, Yeah. Which will be connected to what happened. There's something that happened. I just read it in the news yesterday. June 12th, for those who are listening in the foreign countries, June 12th in the Philippines is the Independence Day, which is like July 4 in the United States. And during the June 12th celebration of the 124th, is it 124th? It's the 124th year of independence of the Philippines. So the Philippines is so young, but a lot has happened. Yeah, and during that celebration, there were some Boy Scouts who took all the old flags, some of the old flags, I guess. And during the celebration, they also had the ceremony of burning the old flags. And it was posted in a news site online, and a lot of people, Filipino, makabayan, commented and criticized the Boy Scouts, saying that dapat, they should be arrested. I just saw one that goes to that statement, like. It's just the same with that. I cannot remember the word that he said. Another one is, yung flag daw is napaka-sacred, dapat hindi ginaganyan. May nagsabi ng ganun. If the flag is sacred, that it should not be burned. You are disrespecting the flag. Things of sorts. So a lot of negative comments from these Filipinos. Kababayan. Makabayan sila, they're patriots, criticizing Boy Scouts for doing that, burning out the flag. What they don't know is it is actually in the flag rule, flag law. Cannot remember what is the exact name for that rule, but it is actually in the law that when there is an old torn flag, you can take it and there will be a ceremonial burning for it. Hindi ibabasura.
This podcast is sponsored by MONAPHLORE's Egg Poultry. So MONAPHLORE's Egg Poultry sells fresh eggs, and they are available in the locality of Mankayan. Of course, you can check them out by checking their Facebook page, MONAPHLORE's Egg Poultry. Check them out right now.
Okay, maybe one can be taken in the museum, but one of the things that can be done is to burn it. Can be taken to a museum if it has a historical significance. Say, for example, it was used during the battle of so and so. It can be taken to a museum. But for those flags that are being used in the office, and then after a year, that is already old. It is already torn. Things like that. Colors are faded. You are going to burn it. It's a ceremonial burning of the flag. There is something like that. And how the hell did you not know that? So another it's another situation where you see the education failures of our country, and of course all of our teachers in the education sector are working so hard to fix that problem, right? Well, still, ignorance can be cured by education. Even teachers, even me, I was also, and there are some part of life that I am ignorant, but it can be cured through education. So that's it. And what can we learn from the situation? Before we comment on something online, we must research it first. Like, I am just wondering what are the thinking of these people who commented like that. Like, they saw the news, right? They saw the picture of a flag being burned. It's in the park. It's in an open area where everybody can see it. And of course, did it not even come to your mind that why are they doing that in the open field? Why are they doing that? Is it allowed? The Boy Scouts are wearing uniforms. They're not playing around. Did not ever come to your mind to, can I just search if it is allowed? Can you not just Google, is flag allowed to be burned? Can we burn flag? Something like that. Right? And of course, can we burn flag in the Philippines? Why are flags being burned in the Philippines? You can just ask questions in Google before you comment. You have that source of knowledge on your hand. You have that source of knowledge on your hand. Instead of using it as a weapon, instead of using it as your asshole for your words, words of, I don't even want to say negative words, but instead of using it to criticize, why not use it as a source of your knowledge so you will know what you have seen? Or better yet, when you look at the picture, for sure there is a news connected to that picture. Why did you not read it? Just look at it and then just comment it like that. If you looked at the picture and you have read the news, then at least there's a new knowledge that you have learned instead of commenting as if you're the genius. Right? Those things. And, one of the things, like I said a while back in the Amber Heard Johnny Depp issue, that we should always hold ourselves back in saying something and research and look at the both sides before doing something. Don't be in a rush, right? The same is true with this issue of Boy Scouts burning flag. you have to do your research first before you comment on things. Okay? For Filipinos listening, you know, that that should be the number one rule in using online, using the internet, right? It should be the number one thing. Seriously. I cannot, when I was reading this one this morning, I was oh my god. And for sure, those who commented on this ones are youth, products of our educational system. And maybe I am the one to blame for not teaching it to them. you know. But still, like I said, ignorance is cured by education. And as long as we're living, we should keep on learning. Like I said a while ago, oh, this is new to me. If you have seen that picture of Boy Scout burning the flag, you should have asked yourself, oh, this is new to me. Is there something that I don't know here? There's something wrong for me? There's something wrong in this picture. Is there something I should know here? And Google is there, right? Just research. Come on. That's how we use it. During our time, if we don't know something, we have to go to our friend who has an encyclopedia. And we'd be lucky if the topic that we don't know, or if lucky if the thing that we don't know is in that encyclopedia. Or we have to go to the library to search. And until now, I'm having a hard time using the decimal system. Back in my days, I was studying, and right now, it's so easy. It's so easy to search different kinds of knowledge. We should not waste that. That's a gift. The internet is a gift for us. Okay? Use it. Make it as a gift. Don't use it as a curse. Alright? Hope. Hope that is a lesson for us. Mistakes in life are lessons. So for those who commented negative things, now we have learned. And another lesson that I want you to learn is don't be so impulsive. Yeah. Take everything with a grain of salt, even what you're seeing. Okay. You have to be careful, as always. Moving on to being careful. another topic, another lesson. Maybe there's another lesson you can learn from this. Yesterday, again, looking at the news, I read this. I think it's still for those who are listening or watching, because I'll be posting this in YouTube too. Listening in Spotify. For those who are listening, there is a pageant. I don't know the name of the pageant, but you can look at this in the Midland Facebook page, Midland Courier. This is a local newspaper in Baguio City. There's a pageant wherein they use the G-string. G-string, we call it bahag in Tagalog, or wanus in kankanaey, my local language. Bahag, wanus, it's a piece of cloth you use to cover your loins. It's the olden cloth for the Igorots, right? For Igorot men, not for women. And they used this during their pageant for the men, and it drew flack in the internet again because apparently they are wearing it wrong. That's what people said. Igorot people said in the internet. They commented that it is the people or the models in the pageant are using it wrong. If you can do a quick search of Igorot in the full traditional attire said, because the modern Igorot, I'll tell you this, for those who are listening, just say if you would agree with this. The traditional clothes for Igorot is that bahag for men, and then the tapis for female. But for now, the modern attire for Igorot is a Levi's jeans jacket and Levi's the pants is branded, like the brand is Levi's. That is expensive accordingly. I'm the only Igorot that does not wear those things. And their shoes are branded. Most of the brand is Merrill, something like that. The cost of the clothing will be around 10,000. Like that. That's the modern Igorot attire. Or there is a black leather jacket, the blue Levi's jeans, and the black boots, cowboy boots. It's one of those things. For the women, I think it's the Gucci. It's the Gucci brand. Most, not all. Yeah. Going back to our traditional bahag. So, this pageant here, the pageant organizers accordingly coordinated with the NCIP, the National Commission on Indigenous People, and they said that they have an expert in the production on that pageant, and they're asking that they be given permission to do a bahag display. Just say display. I'm not so familiar with the pageant vocabulary or language. So they asked the NCIP for the permission, and then because accordingly that is a good platform to show the culture and traditions of Igorot. That's why the NCIP considered, and then instead that they allow, as long as there's an expert in the production that will show people how to wear it properly. Because wearing the bag, like I said, if you are going to do a quick search, you can see that the G-string will be wrapped around your groin area and then it goes around your waist, and then they'll make it a way wherein the both end would be extended between the legs. Right? I cannot explain it in word, but you can just search it on YouTube and you can see how people tie their G-strings in the Igorot tribe. Now, during the pageant, they did not do that one, so that's why it drew flack in the social media. Now, the reply of the organizers is somewhat also, it's a little bit not good for me to hear, because they said that well, Igorot din kami. We are also Igorots, and we know it's like they're saying we know what we're doing, and you should do more research. You should educate yourself. At the same time, they used the name of the NCIP. They said they already consulted with the NCIP. Or in the letter of the NCIP, they said that because according to the producers, they said they have an expert in the production. That's why the NCIP never bothered to check on them. But then when this pageant, when that certain part of pageant drew flack in the social media, they used the name of NCIP, like they said, we consulted with the NCIP. Wherein consultation never really happened, according to the letter of the NCIP. And then the one thing that really, squinted my eye when I read it is that this statement that they said, we are an Igorot and you should educate yourself, because this is how Igorot wear their G-strings when they swim, things like that. And being an Igorot does not does not permit you to, or does not mean that you have the knowledge on the cultures, on all of the cultural Igorots, right? Me, myself, I'm an Igorot, but there are things that I don't know about our traditions. So, if you don't know a thing about your tradition, who do you consult to? We always go to the old people. We always ask on the, or we always ask to the old people, because the old people, as we know those things, because that is their way of life way back. Or if it's not their way of life, they have seen it when they were young. And I'm not so sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not so sure that they have seen that way of wearing the G-strings. Like I said a while back, there was this, both end of the G-string will be covering the groin area. In the pageant, they removed that one, so it's like they are showing the bulge of those beautiful men in their pageant. And accordingly, that's how Igorots wear their G-strings when they swim. I'm not so sure of that. And that's why I like the letter of the NCIP where they said that, okay, if that is so, and since you said that you have an expert in that production, then will you please come to us and share us the history or the evidence that when Igorots will swim in the river, they will do that one with their G-strings. Yeah, that is a very good one. Yeah, it's sharing of ideas, because we might not know things, and you might know, because you have an expert in that production. You might know that during the olden times, when people swim, when the Igorots swim, they will do that to your G-strings. You might not know about that. Okay? And that is a good one. And NCIP is doing that. NCIP, National Commissions on Indigenous People. And for sure, there are a lot of people there who are expert about Igorot history. And they're the one who said that. As compared to the one in the organizer who said that I'm an Igorot, so you should educate yourself about my culture. No, it's not that way, my dear. That should not be the way. When we have questions about our culture, we always ask old people. We always ask our elders. That is our culture as an Igorot. Even DepEd, when we're doing things, like we have in DepEd, we have this what we're calling Indigenous People Education, IPED. And before we teach things, we always consult the elder of the community. Even if we know it, we always consult, okay, to avoid errors as such, that like this thing that happened, to avoid those things. And that should be the reply, you know. It does not mean that because you have a blood of Igorot, you have an Igorot blood, I should say, that you are the authority for Igorot culture. No. Okay? And why not say that kunan ni apong ko, or why not say that, well, I have done my research and according to this, it is done like this. Instead of saying and flaunting like you have an Igorot blood, that's why they don't have the right to comment on things like that. Well, for sure, those who are commenting on what happened are Igorots also, and maybe older than you, and maybe knows more things about our culture than you. Right? It's not a good way to... You're antagonizing people if that's what you're doing. That's how you comment. And again, this situation is a learning experience for you all, for us all, for us who are reading, for us who are witnessing these things. It's experience, learning experience. It's a learning. We are learning from this situation. I should say that, you know, it does not mean that because you have the blood, that you have the authority and the culture. No. And consult, always consult, right? Always consult people. Always consult people who knows better than you. And even if you know it, ask, still ask, you know. And maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I'm also ignorant of my culture sometimes, most of the time. But maybe you are right, and show us the anecdotal. I mean, show us the evidence that people are doing that in the old ways, olden days, you know. And maybe that will be new learning for us also. We're a little bit drawn aback by what we have seen, right? So, speaking of Igorots, I have this. I've been reading this before, so I've been reading this. I don't know. Way back in college, we have this subject, Philippine history, and one of my professors said that we have this history of Bontoc people who and went to Manila or something, and then they witnessed the war against the Americans during the Philippine-American War. And I cannot believe that. I don't know. But then he said that it's in the museum in, I don't know, in somewhere in Sagada or in Bontoc. He saw it in a museum. Until one time I've been reading, I have read that Bontoc Igorot, it's like a sociology book. It's a book on, it's a book created by or written by an American sociology way back in 1900s about the Bontoc people. And then I soon discovered this the first Bontoc Igorot grammar book, when they translated, wherein an author tried to learn the language of the Bontoc Igorot and translated it in English. And that's where I read this story, and it is true. Now, looking back at the history of the Philippines, most of the time, you can say that the Philippine history is like the history of Manila, because all of those recorded events in the Philippine history, most of it happened in Manila. It's like most of those history that we have in our Philippine history happened in the Katagalugan, in the Tagalog regions. There are very few accounts in Visayas, in Mindanao. It's so few. Like in Mindanao, we only have Sultan Kudarat, and I think there are some Hanji Raya Boto. In Visayas, we have, of course, the very first hero, Lapu-Lapu, and of course there are some, but mostly it is in the Manila area. It's in the Tagalog area that's where it's like the history of the Philippines is so focused in that area. And now to hear this story is somewhat amazing, though it's not what I'm expecting. Because I'm expecting a hard-fought battle by the Igorots, and they drove away the Americans, something like that. It's not like that, but you can see here that ever since the world began, something like that, ever since that the Igorots are being discriminated, are being and you cannot blame Igorots for something like turning their backs against the Tagalog people for the thing that happened. So, like for example, I'll be connecting this to what happened during the battle in Terrat Pass, wherein this Igorot is very instrumental in the defeat of the soldiers of General Gregorio del Pilar. So let's take a look at this story. So I'd be reading it to you, but then the English is so broken that maybe I'll be reading a sentence or two and I'll be trying to explain it, because it's the translation is verbatim. It's a word per word translation, and it's a little bit difficult to understand. So here is the story. But before that, I'll try to see if I have the I have the first what do you call that one? I'm trying to read it because the author has written it in the Bontoc language also. Yeah, and it is actually because I am married to a Bontoc lady, and I am trying to I'm trying to read it to her, and then she said that she cannot also understand it. Maybe it's a very old language because this is a language, the Bontoc language during the 1900s. So the first one is in Solictus Sidon Bilong, umalit fontok ya, ingingag at fontok, kadna ay mangwani ay at kayo ay igulot, mafuwag kayo sakun tay alden yun nan pinangyo nan kaniyabyo nan tafayo yanan kang sata umali kayo manunos taeng kayo manalfeng at agsan siping yo. That's the language, right? And of course, I'll not be reading that for the whole time because the book that I have, I think it's a little difficult if I don't know if you can still find this online. But the book I downloaded is so old that when they scanned it, there are some dirts on it, and it's a little difficult to read it. Now I'll be reading a translation from the blog of from the blog of Basilio Ibabawan, and this was written on Saturday, March 13. I don't know. He founded March 13, 2010. So, this is the Igorots participated in the Philippine-American War. So this is the participations of Igorots during the Philippine-American Wars. A little bit of history for us Igorots. Reproduced here is an account by an Igorot named Fanged describing how Don Bilong recruited 250 Igorots tribesmen on pretext that they were to perform a dance in Malolos, but found themselves in the midst of battle in Caloocan on February 11, 1899. The English text appear verbatim translation from the Igorot language and may be difficult to understand, like what I'm saying a while back. The account was lifted from a book by Carl Wilhelm Sedinedel. I don't know if he's a German, but he's the author of the book, Carl Wilhelm Sedinedel. The first grammar of the language is spoken by the Bontoc Igorot. The Don Bilong referred to in the account was Federico Isabelo excuse me, Isabelo Abaya, the hero of Candon, Ilocos Sur, who served under Colonel Manuel Tino of the Philippine Revolutionary Army. He became a commander of the forces in the southern Ilocos under Juan Villamor, where he was later killed in a battle with Americans in May 3, 1900s. So, because this Don Bilong is the one who went to Bontoc to call on the Igorots, and this is the text. So what I'll be doing here is I'll be reading the text and then I'll be explaining the things that I understand. So let's go. So here's the text. The insurrecto Don Bilong comes to Bontoc and tells lies at Bontoc. He says, speaking to Igorot, "Go with me, take ye your shields, your spears, the gongs, let us go to Malolos, go ye to dance, then much money will be yours." So this Don Bilong came to Bontoc and then he was asking Bontoc people that, let's go to Malolos. You will be having a sort of a cultural presentation of some sort if we're talking nowadays. And then, of course, if you are going to dance in Malolos, you will be given money. You will be having a lot of money. Then the young men run and go to the forest because all young men are unsteady as to their thoughts. So when the people heard this, the young men run to the forest because they were thinking that They're having second thoughts because they are thinking that maybe this guy is lying. So they ran away. They say speaking, perhaps this is a lie. I think he's lying. So that's their impression of Don Bilong. I fanged from Samuki did not like this. What did he say? I fanged from Samuke did not like this because I did not like to go because because my sister they imprisoned. So wait for a while. We need to change the music. What happened there? And let's change it to Igorot music. Okay, and we're back. So, they said that the young men from Bontok ran away because they don't believe Don Belong or Bilong, and I fanged from Samuki. So Fanged, this person who is giving the account, is from Samuki, a place in Mountain Province. Do not like to go because my sister, they imprisoned for my not coming along. But because they imprisoned his sister, so he doesn't have a choice but to go with them. Then I go with them because they buy my sister. That's what I'm saying. Then to the men, takes Ngawid the men. Then he is the chieftain of the Igorot. So the also Ngawid, just like the head of the people in that area, was also taken. So then other people were also allowed. Looking that the chieftain is going, that's why maybe that convinced other young men, and then they went. So then we start to come to Fangnin. Fangnin is a place. Then they take also some men of Fangnin near Bontok. I think Fangnin is the place we call now Bangnin. Then we take one pig and kill it for food of the men who go to Malolos. So there we go. Then we start in the morning and come to Gayang. Then our food had been prepared and they killed a buffalo as our meat. Then we eat at noon and we come to Cervantes. So this was like in the 1900s, so there was no highway yet that connects places in the Philippines. So they came from Bontoc, they went to Bangnin, to Gayang, and then now they went to Cervantes. Then we sit down and cook our meal. We are 5 Bontoc men, 8 from Samuki, then those from Mainit, Tukuan, Malikong. Malikong is, I think, the Malikong right now. It's another tourist spot in Bontoc. Ginugan, I think that's Gunugon. Sagada is still Sagada. Titipan, Tulubin, I think it's Talubin. Kanoo, Agawa, all the townsmen had gone to Malolos. So this, the people from these places, Mainit, Tukukan, Malikong, Ginugan, Sagada, Titipan, Tulubin, Kanoo, Agawa, there are some men who went with them. So take note, this Igorot, there are 250 of them who went to Malolos. Then we had eaten at the Cervantes, and we came to Ankaki. Prepared was all our food. They had killed a cow for meat. A symbol that we're at Cervantes, all townsmen. So they assembled at Cervantes. All of them assembled at Cervantes. And then it is morning. We start and come to Concepcion. The Concepcion is a place. Then we start from Concepcion and come to Candon. There meets the music band us. So when they came to Candon, there was a music band that meets them. It's like a welcoming party in Candon, Ilocos Sur. Then we come to Cando and march around the band with us at Candon. Then we stay in large house 5 days. We eat pigs because we were angry. We Igorot. Then we kill the pigs of Candon people. Then we start from Takuching. Takuching, I think, is Taguding. Igorot language, the Bontok language, especially so in the Bontok language, is that the CH is so prevalent in their language. Then we enter houses of people and take their coats. Afraid are the Tak people. We are 250 Igorots. So this is in the olden times. So like people will be afraid if they see muscled, chiseled men with their G-strings, with their shields, with their spears that is coming down the mountain. And then of course they were met by the bands, right? And they stayed in their houses, and then they take their coats because people in the lowlands are afraid of them. Then we start very early to go to Namagpakan. Then we had been cooked rice but no meat. Igorots are carnivorous people, so they would complain if there's no meat, just rice. So take note that this is their journey going to Malulos, because they all of them are thinking that they would be going just to dance and they'll be having money after dancing, right? Now, then we start very early and go to Namagpakan. They had no rice but no meat. There's a cooked rice but no meat. Then we go and take by force one horse and bring it to our quarter. So, like I said a while back, that Igorots are carnivorous. So if there's no meat, of course they'll be angry, right? So what they do, they took a horse and they butchered it. They brought it to the quarter. Then we cut it and cook the horse. Then we do not eat because like flesh of man is the sight of the meat of horse. So they cooked the meat horse, and then but they did not eat it because accordingly it looks like a human flesh. Then we start to go to Faknotan. Faknotan, I think, is Baknotan right nowadays. We arrived in night. None had cooked our food. They have no food during that time. Then we Igorot go to take some pigs and dogs. That's what they do. They stolen pigs and dogs. Then we keep cooking and we eat during the night. Then come the soldiers who are insurrectos and ask for food. Then they keep coming to our rear and they keep saying, "Give us food." So they are, because this is during the Philippine American War. So these people, they don't have the way they're camped is not that's not it's not what do you call that one? It's not like a five-star camping. It's not well organized because these are guerrillas, like these are rebels. They're trying to hide and they don't have food. So these Igorots, what they did is that they have stolen pigs and dogs and then they cooked it all night accordingly. And when the insurrectos, they call this Tagalog soldiers, Tagalog revolutionaries, insurrectos. And then according to this account of Fanged, the insurrectors are coming back to their quarters asking for foods. They keep on coming back. So that means that when the insurrectors heard that these Igorots have foods, they know how to make foods, they know how to hunt, like something like that, that they went to them and they'd been asking foods. So then we start to go to a certain town. I do not know the name of the town where we arrived. They had been cooked rice and meat of buffalo. So this guy has always been, while saying his account, is really telling about foods. Then we sleep. We start in the morning and we come to Santo Tomas. Then is not cooked our food. So when they came to Santo Tomas, there was no food at all. Then we go and seek pigs and goats. Then we not find any pigs and goats. So as you can see here, they don't have foods, and they have they have the initiative to go hunt for food, but they did not find any. Then we say to our master, the master they're talking here is Don Belong, the Isabelo. Why you say we come into the town? Then then would be ready the food of the men, and here there is nothing. Then answers don't belong are words, and he says, care of for yourself, and you keep catching pigs and take rice. So when there was no food, when they arrived to Santo Tomas, they complained to Don Bilong that because apparently Don Bilong has promised them that there'll be food prepared for them as they go from place to place, right? So they complained about that, and Don Bilong said that you take care of yourself. You keep on catching. You just continue on hunting and taking rice from the villagers. That's what Don Bilong said. So what did this Igorot said? Then I frightened a family of Filipinos. So it was like he threatened a certain family because long time ago the concept of us being a Filipino is not yet instilled, like the what do you call it one, the regionalism of people is so strong during that area, during the time the Igorots doesn't have the concept of the whole Philippines yet. That's why they call the people from the lowlands Filipinos. And apparently Fanged frightened the Filipino family so that they'll give him food. And the frightened Filipino family said, please don't kill us and let's cook you a meal. Then is cooked the rice and crabs. Then I begin eating, and then comes my companion. Then we eat together as we are very hungry. Then we start to went. We go to Dagupan. So they're almost they are almost arriving in their destination. It is a large town. Dagupan is a large town, and they do not provide us food. We ask, and little is their giving. So when they arrived to the Gupan, they didn't have enough food. Then we keep saying, we shall come to. Then they keep saying, we shall come to Malolos. Then we arrive at Malolos in the evening. So after the Gupan, they arrive at Malolos. Then distributes aguinaldo the 20 cents. And then that is when they arrive in Malolos. So the promise to them is that when they will go to Malolos, they'll be when they will dance and they'll be given a lot of money. And they were only given 20 cents. 20 cents, I'm not sure what's the value right now, just 20 cents. And then we say, 1 peseta only our food does not suffice, then we shall run away. So looking at the money that was given to them, they said that this is not enough, so we'll go back. And then the soldiers or the insurrectionists said that we will shoot you if you come back, if you will run away. So they didn't have a choice. We will shoot you. They were threatened that they will be shot if they will run away. So they rode on a train. So they starts the train, then we go ride in the train. Then we come to Caloocan, forest land only. So after that, they were in Malolos, they were sent to Caloocan. We eat in the night, not sufficed our food. So again, they ate and there's not enough food. We are eating. We men then see fire flying that comes from the sea, dazzles the fire us. So while they're eating, then the war or the battle in Caloocan began. So first sight they saw was the fire coming from the sea. Those are the shots coming from the U.S. Army ships. Then it is time of beginning of crowing of cocks. So this is like early in the morning. They say, Golash, our interpreter, let us go around to Fanged behind Manila. So an interpreter of theirs named Gulash. Gulash, I guess, in the account was a half Bontok, half Tagalog, and told Fanged that they will go to Manila. Then we start to go. Then there are many soldiers. Then we go a little to Fanged. So they're trying to go to Fanged. Like this was distance far yonder. So it's very far from them. We've gone to the front. We had spears, battle axes, shields, but we don't have rifles. So, like I said, in the beginning, what was asked of them was to perform a dance. Right now, they are in the midst of a battle, but they don't have rifle. Then there was one soldier shot in the scrotum. So he was shot by the Americans. And then we fret, we say, a battle is the calling of that man. Why? A different dance this. So all of them are wondering, why are we in this battle? They tricked us. This is not a dance. What kind of dance is this? Something like that. Then we say, are we sometimes afraid? And again, not in the translation in the local language that at least I understand that one. But the translation of that one in the local language is that we are not afraid of anything, but why are we afraid now? Something like that. Hindi kami takot eh. Hindi kami naman natatakot, pero nakakatakot na ito, parang ganon in Tagalog. Then transport back the men who were shot were there. They take to the train. So right now he's telling the account of when they were when the wars beginning. They were just telling the account of man getting shot, like that man getting shot in the scrotum, and then them talking to each other that this is not a dance at all. We are in a battle, and we don't have rifles. We only have spears and shields. And then they saw the dead men being carried to the train. We go to the railroad, then hide the soldiers. There are many projectiles coming from the sea, which sent American soldiers. So he was telling that there were many projectiles being sent by the American soldiers from the sea, and a lot of Filipino soldiers are hiding. There were 2 Filipino soldiers shot. Then comes again one company and is shot again one soldier. We had dug into the ground. We Igorots hide our bodies because no guns ours except only spears and battle axes. So while they're witnessing this thing here, so there was like an arrival of another reinforcement soldiers from the Filipinos. And then while witnessing this thing, the Igorots, what they did is that they dug foxholes or holes where they can hide. And for the reason for that one, as they said, according to the account, is that we don't have guns. We only have spears and battle axes. Then comes again another company, and again 3 Filipinos shot. So he was telling the accounts of what happened to the soldiers. Then retreats one company and exchange again 2 companies. So while the one company who is on the battle is retreating, then another reinforcement from the Filipinos came. Then they take their bayonets, they dig up the ground, they bury all their cartridges or bullets. They return to their commander and they say, "Used up, no more our bullets." This is one of the disappointing account that I read so far. Well, the Igorots hiding and not fighting is not disappointing for me at all, because first and foremost they've been duped into joining a battle that they do not know at all. Maybe if Aguinaldo, or Don Bilong, have told them the truth and said that, can you help us maybe, and then if they did not do their part, then that will be disappointing. But being duped into going into a battle like that, I would not blame them if they will not fight, because first and foremost they felt betrayed, right? So I will not blame them if they will not fight at all. And the thing is that during that time, the Igorots does not have the concept of country yet, right? So they do not have that patriotism that the Filipino or the Tagalogs have. So they do not have that yet. They did not understand that. Well, if Don Bilong have explained that to them, and then ask for the help and they did not help, that would be very disappointing for. In this case, I cannot blame them at all. So the disappointing thing that I've read in this account is that this one here, while the battle is going on, the soldiers got their, I mean, took their bayonets and then dig up the ground to bury all their bullets, the bullets for the rifles. Take note again. They dig up the ground and bury all cartridges or the bullets, and then they went back to their leader, their captains, and say that they don't have bullets no more. That is so disappointing. And take note, if that thing happened in the Battle of Caloocan, for sure that also happened in all the battles during the Filipino-American War. Maybe that's one of the reasons why we lost the war, right? Yeah. And that is very disconcerting, you know? So you can see that even during those times, um, you know, things that are fishy is happening. Like it's not just in the leadership we're in. Like Andres Bonifacio was killed by Emilio Aguinaldo. Emilio Aguinaldo ordered the killing of Andres Bonifacio. It's also in the lower ground. I mean that you will witness things like this, shenanigans happening during the Philippine or the revolution during the revolution. So, to continue, they say that there are six dead. There are five who got shot in their hands and one negrito. So that means that these revolutionary soldiers or these armies of Tagalogs have been recruiting other tribes, maybe under false pretenses, like what they did to the Bontok Igorot, that they said they will be going to a dance, and they led them into a battle. Then retreats one company and exchanged three companies. Many are dead. Among them much is the blood upon the ground. So this is the eyewitness account of the Igorot on the battle. The retreat of the three companies, they remove many dead and carry to the train. They exchange again two companies. So this is a long battle. There one shot four soldiers. They can return two companies. Then dark the day, then the cannon fire them soldiers, Americans. So while the battle is continuing, the Igorots are just hiding them. Then get afraid the Igorot and immediately ran away. So they found a way for them to escape the battle. Then we run away and come to the train. Many are dead, and in the train home kept carrying the soldiers. Was shot one from Amtadao. Nobody was shot in the Bontokmen. So there was one shot on the 350 from Amtadao, and just the account here. You can see that Bontok men is really from that area in Bontok, and then people from their neighboring areas they will just call person from person from Malikong, something like that. They cannot. You see that the concept of region or municipality was not yet instilled in them during that time. It's still the village mentality, like we are in this village and we are together, and then they're different. That is still the mentality of those people long time ago during this thing when this happened, and we cannot blame. Again, we are living in a different era, and compared to when they were living. We remain at the train. They often can bring the dead who had been shot by fire the guns. As if tumbled the sky like this were the shells of cannons come, some like this. So she is motioning how big the size of the cannons were. Landed the soldiers Americans on the land, then flee all the insurrectos. So when they got bombarded by cannons, even the Filipino soldiers ran away. So many were dead, and more dead than the fights of Igorot in the country of Igorots. So this is, I guess, the first time that they witnessed that there will be that in a battle a lot of people will be dead. So Fanged is comparing the fights in the Igorot country, I mean in their place, if they will be having tribal war, and he's comparing it to what's happening in that place in Caloocan, right there when they were there, and he said that a lot of people were dead, more dead than the fights of Igorot in the Igorot country. Then we flee and go to Malolos. Then Golash says, "Our interpreter, let us go to Manila." So Golash made it a way that they can go to Manila. So they went to Malolos, went back to Malolos, and then they tried to go to Manila to make a railroad mode. So Golash said that they go to Manila and then work as a railroad builder, but the men refused. Okay, so and then they says, "Golash, why? Nobody is dead among us, Igorot. Why? Only the insurrectos are dead." Then they return Sayan from Samuki and further Moding from Bontok, then Patiking from Bontok to Manila. So they went out, they escaped from that battle, and then what is this? All of them, so they were coming back, then they hit into their mates. They again go back to Malolos, then they arrive among us. So this is very difficult to translate, but to cut it short in that paragraph, they escaped the battle, and then they went back to Malolos, right? Now they asked the Presidente at Malolos. I would be guessing that this is Emilio Aguinaldo. Then we asked the Presidente at Malolos. We say we ought to go to Bontok. Then it is tomorrow. Again, we asked and he refuses. So when they went back to Malolos, because in the Battle of Caloocan, all of them retreated, right? So they asked the President if they can go back to Bontok, but then the President refused. And he asked, "None of you is dead, so why will you go?" So di ba saying, wala namang namatay sa inyo. Nobody died among you, so why go back? Then we say, to Cosme from Bontok, we should tell him to dance. You had said, as to your saying, then we may go. Then they quarreled. Makwish from Bontok and Ngawid from Samuke. Says Makwish from Bontok to Ngawid, "You know that battle was their saying to you. Why did you tell so to the men? You have no reason. Suppose I had known the battle was their saying, I have told first to the men, if they wish to go to war, then only little failed, that we would have killed we Igorots for the saying of the Presidente of Malolos." So right now they're having a quarrel, because they're being refused to go home. They've been having quarrel among them, wherein one person said that ipagpagam mumsamot nga gubatin mayan tayo ditoy. I think you know that we came here for battle, but then you said to the people that we'll be going for a dance, because they went to Malolos on the thinking that they'd be going for a cultural presentation, right? But then right now they're having quarrel because some people are suspecting that the Ngawid, a chieftain, know that they'd be going to war, but then Ngawid denied it, saying that if I knew, then I would have told the men. I also don't know. What I know is that we'll be coming here for a dance. And then maybe the president of Malolos saw that they're having this quarrel among them. That's why he decided that they can now leave. Okay? So they ran away. Sorry, it says here that they were not permitted to go. So So what they did was they ran away and they walked from the streets to streets, and then of course, when they were hungry, they bought rice from people in the area, and then when they meet the Ilocanos at Fangal, I don't know where that place is. The Ilocano said, "Are you coward? You Igorots are cowards." And then we say answering, "You go. Let us see if then not quickly smashed by cannon, smash the cannon in your head." So their answer to the question, are you cowards, you Igorots?" They said, you go and let's see if your heads will not be smashed by the cannon immediately." That's their answer. So as they are going back to their place, they're passing through these places. I guess the word was spread already that these Igorots have run away during the battle. That all of the people are asking, "You Igorot," and telling them that you Igorots are cowards. Why did you run away? And their answer is that one: you go and join the battle yourself. Let's see what will happen. So that's their answer. and and then so they came back and then they told their stories to their townsmen in Bontok. So nobody among them was killed, thankfully. And I want to read this part here. They shot Americans, then then tell the Bontok men and Samuki men the trail to soldiers to America to Talubing. They go to Fayu, capture wife of Aguinaldo and his younger. So this was the beginning of the end for the Filipino-American War already. So after they came back from the Battle of Caloocan, and then the government of General Aguinaldo is starting to fall. And then he's telling that the story about how the wife of Aguinaldo was captured and how Aguinaldo was imprisoned. So that is the account. I cannot read, I'm sorry, I cannot read all of it and tell it to you at the same time. It would take long hours for me to also understand what is the guy saying with this kind of translation. But then that is the story of the Igorots in the Battle of Caloocan. See you see the way how this Tagalog people have duped them, and one can only assume that this is because they maybe are saying that the life of this tribe's people are not that important than, well, I'm assuming, but are not that important than them. So they can, it's not like if they die in battle, it's not that valuable. Maybe it's things like that. So this, as you can see, while they were moving that, I want to stress this one. While they were moving back, people already knew that they went to the war and then they hid themselves. They didn't fight back. That's why no one of them got hurt, right? And their only answer is, "Kayo, go and join the battle and let's see what will happen. Maybe your head will be smashed by the cannon immediately," things like that. So that's their answer. And of course, they did not say that we would have joined if we have the proper weapon. At the same time, if they have told us in advance that we were going into a battle, not for a cultural presentation. They didn't see that. They didn't say that. But what I want to highlight here is that people already knew what happened. So the news was spread so quickly, and that's why I would say, and this is just an assumption, that because of this thing that happened, that the Igorots have had this, or maybe starting to have this animosity towards the revolutionary soldiers, or what they're calling the Tagalog soldiers, or the insurrectos. They have this animosity towards them already because of that thing that happened, that their view now to those their view on those people or those revolutionary soldiers of Aguinaldo is that they are traitors and they are the enemy because of the way they're treated and because of this thing here, this exact situation here that happened. That's why when the battle in Tirpas happened, you cannot actually blame Wanario Galot for helping the Americans because the animosity was there already, right? So if, like I said before, if had this concept of independence or concept of country was explained to the Igorots beforehand, before asking them to join the battle, then maybe, I don't know, maybe the story turned out to be different, right? And maybe there will be no Wanario Galot labeled as the traitor in the Philippine-American War in our history, right? So that's my view of this, my assumption, in part because of this history of this account by the Igorot named Fanged in the 1899 battle. So if you want to read this one, maybe you can just message me and I can send you the I can send you the ebook where I found this. But then you can also search this one, and actually Sir Ambet Ocampo of the Daily Inquirer, a historian, also has written an account on this one in 2010. So the reason why I'm trying to share this one is to give us more knowledge about the history of our tribe, Igorots of the Cordillerans. So, and with that, I would like to end this podcast here, and I'd be seeing you again next time. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless everyone.